Hello and welcome to another video here on Pocalyptic. The painting we're going to be watching today is actually something that I did quite a while ago now. This was a part of a pair of prints that I made specially for Valentine's Day. I recorded the entire process of the other painting as well, so you might be seeing that here soon too. I made two new paintings to add to the shop by themselves and also in a pairing and as part of a 5 set of Queer Love themed prints. The process of these paintings was a bit different than anything I've done in a while. A few years ago, my work often was just solely in watercolor, and the process of these reminded me a lot of that era of my work. This painting and its counterpart were done using just watercolor and some colored pencil with a little bit of gouache for some parts on the background. Since I haven't been working with solely watercolor for a while now, and especially since a lot of my recent work has been done digitally, I was very out of practice with the sort of precision that you kind of really want with watercolor, and I kind of forgot about that aspect of things going into it. It does make me a tiny bit sad because I think with that level of precision that you need, I really want to be in practice and fully focused to work with watercolors going in the future, unless they are just a base for gouache like I've been doing a lot recently, which means I don't think they're super fitted to my workflow at the moment. Because of my schedule, I end up going like large stretches of time without practicing a whole lot, or with mostly doing digital work, which is super flexible, so my watercolor work doesn't come out exactly how I would want it to. But I honestly really love the bright, pure colors you're able to achieve using the medium, as much as I love things like gouache and acrylic as well, and how bold they can be. There really is nothing quite like the vibrance of watercolor, so I'm really gonna miss that in parts of my work. But maybe if I like really push myself in that area of things, maybe we can bring it back again at some point. To touch a little more on the specifics of the process here for a moment, in the beginning you might have noticed I was using some transfer paper to transfer my sketch onto the watercolor paper. That is something I don't have a whole lot of experience with, but I thought it could be a useful thing to do to try out and make the process a little cleaner than sketching straight onto the paper. Another thing we've got going on here is that I've actually taped off the watercolor block that I'm using into different sections. I knew this was the type of paper and size I wanted, and I didn't want to have to try and find something to tape it down to if I were to pre-cut it, so I decided to go with this little method and make both paintings before separating them from the block or each other. I also went in with a light wash over everything and a little bit of an underpainting here. That way the background would be really loose and everything would have a like strong underlying pink vibe. Unfortunately, there were a few spots on this painting that ended up giving me a little bit of a hard time because I honestly had issues with the sketch in those areas, like on one of the hands that's here. Even though I did the transfer, it wasn't the most precise, and once the blue pencil was down, it wanted to stay there. But you live and you learn. To be totally honest, I did a little retouching digitally before making the prints so that just a couple things wouldn't be quite so distracting, at least for me. speaking of distracting, I hope the overall setup and lighting and everything here is not too much of that for you. A lot of changes have been going on over here, and since this was recorded a while ago, I've actually changed a lot of things about my setup since this even. I believe this might have actually been the first thing I recorded on my camera that was recently added to my setup. Like I said, I have a whole nother Speedpaint that was recorded right after this one that we still have in store after I record a voiceover for that one as well. And I'm currently working on some things that I hope to be bringing here soon. I've talked about it quite a bit on my social medias, but I moved into my first apartment very recently. This makes it leaps and bounds easier for me to be able to record videos and voiceovers, get things set up, all sorts of stuff. It's all very exciting, and I'm more ready to commit to this channel than I've ever been. I'm really looking forward to the types of things I'll be able to make so much more of now. As always, please let me know anything you want to see, and especially anything you might want me to touch on in the next Speedpaint voiceover. That should be coming to you before too much longer. I'm honestly a little on the fence about my own personal feelings overall toward the outcome of this piece. Like I mentioned earlier, it didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it to in some ways, and I know it's not my most technically strong piece, but I do really like the colors and themes. I also mentioned that it reminds me a lot of some of my older work, and actually not just in the process, but also in the subject matter. During the time frame where I was doing a lot of work in watercolor like this, I was also doing a lot of nude figures with tattoos and angels. That aspect of this piece is something that I love about it. I ended up incorporating a lot of different things into my more recent work that I honestly didn't really think I would before, in some ways getting further from the old stuff, and in other ways kind of getting closer and leaning more into that direction. I feel like it just has like a lot more different stuff in it overall, like different subject matter. I don't know if that makes any sense. I like the whimsical and fantasy elements and feel that this piece has, and I feel like it's something I've been saying for almost the entirety of my art career, but I'm always wanting to push my work more toward whimsy, more toward fantasy, and even abstract themes, so I like that aspect of this painting. Talking about it now, that actually reminds me that I think it'd be really fun to redraw an older piece, especially from like the 2019 era that I'm referencing right now. So that could be something really, really fun to do and possibly do on the channel soon. Since I do use so many different mediums in my work, and I kind of use them all in like almost equal amounts, it can be a little bit hard to keep track of like what I like to do with different mediums, how I like to use them, all of my process, especially since I have been doing a lot less traditional work lately. But no matter what I'm using, I always really enjoy sitting down and doing a traditional painting. So no matter how this turned out or how it went, I had a really nice time working on it. So that's just about all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for sitting down and spending some time with me and watching me paint and listening to me talk. I hope that you enjoyed this video. As always, let me know anything else you'd want to see. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. All of my links will be below to my shop and to all of my social medias and anywhere you can find me. And I hope that you have an absolutely lovely day. Bye bye.